Welcome everyone to this two-day program on internal auditor training as per ISO 19011 2018 standard. This is the standard for performing audits of ISO management systems, all ISO management systems. Um, so in this training program, we'll be uh, looking at ISO 9001 2015 quality management standard more closely. And along with that, we'll be looking at ISO 22301 2019 Business Continuity Management System. Uh, ISO 9001 2015 uh, is not just quality. This was the first standard, first management standard, and we can consider it as the mother standard. Every other ISO management standard uh, is built on top of ISO 9001 2015. So it's very important for auditors to understand ISO 9001 2015 more closely. And this training program is brought by 3i Infotech uh, for uh, for its customers um, and other stakeholders. So first, let us look at what ISO management systems are. Uh, to for that, first we need to understand what a system is. A system is an arrangement of parts or elements that together exhibit the stated behavior or a meaning that the individual constituents do not. That is, individually, whatever could not happen, when you combine all of them, the parts and the elements, it gives a different behavior or a result. That's what is called a system. So while those are systems in general, uh, next we need to look at what's a management system. A management system is the way in which an organization, so it is for organizations, which organizations manages the interrelated parts of its business in order to achieve its objectives. So the an organization, every organization exists for a purpose. It could be a political organization, a social organization, or it could be a business organization. But every organization has a core purpose, and to achieve that purpose, it has various constituent parts inside the organization, with people, departments, processes. Now, how the organization manages all these interrelated parts of its business in order to achieve its core objective, and the core objective will be translated into many smaller objectives. So, how all these objectives are achieved, that is called the management system. Now, these objectives can relate to different topics. It could be product related, service quality related, operational efficiency, environmental performance, health and safety. So, an organization has different objectives. See, because the organization has got different stakeholders. First of all, there are maybe if it's a business organization, there could be owners, shareholders. So they have certain expectation, which is primarily profit. Uh, when you're dealing with the customer is looking at value for money, service quality, and the organization deals with employees and vendors. And when employees and vendors are working in the boundary of the organization, their health and safety becomes paramount. No, so you have to achieve the results while keeping or enhancing the health and safety of the workplace. And then when the organization is working in a larger ecosystem, and if it's working in industries which have a lot of touch points with the environment, maybe like a hospital or a food processing, then environmental compliance also becomes one of the objectives of the organization. So so an organization is faced with multiple objectives. Management systems, particularly ISO management systems, are designed to help the organization to, to achieve and maximize each of these objectives. And for this purpose, there are different ISO management systems for each purpose. So of them, quality management system (QMS) that is the mother standard. No, ISO 9001 2015. That is the mother standard. So it's not just a quality management system. You can say it's the very foundation for organizational excellence. So ISO 9001 2015 is the foundation on which it's a best practice to build all other management systems. So if we look at the range of ISO management systems, um, I told that ISO 9000, that's the fundamental one. Uh, and also we can view all the management systems in two categories. One is the management system that deal with the physical world. And then there are the management systems that deal with the cyber or the digital world. So most organizations who have a lot to do in the physical world, they go for one after another. They start with quality management ISO 9000. Next, they move to the other two, ISO 14000 for environment management and ISO 45000 for occupational health and safety. And if it's a organization like a software company where it's heavily dependent on people assets, so the uh, the uh, the work satisfaction of job satisfaction of workers becomes very important in such places, or even an industrial workplace. Um, they will be having industrial canteens and food arrangements for their employees and mentors. So when the organization is providing food, then food safety also becomes a key concern. So these four standards you will find in most of the large organizations in the physical world. Now coming to the IT world or the digital world, um, IT companies, business processing companies, uh, SaaS SaaS services. So all of them need to have a different set of ISO management systems from a market leadership or a customer expectation point of view. So most of them have ISO 20000, which is the IT management system, and then you have ISO 27001 2022 version, which is for cyber security. And then there is ISO 27701 2019 version, which is for privacy and data protection. Now, this standard came after GDPR and a lot of privacy regulations started emerging around the world. The privacy uh, compliance is driven through ISO 27701. So while we have two sets of prime standards for the physical world and the cyber world, we have another very important standard called ISO 22301 2019, which is about business continuity. Now, business continuity standard is to help organizations to achieve resilience. So when we say resilience, it should be able to handle business conditions of any extreme nature. See, most of the other management standards help the organization to manage business as usual and also business as unusual also. Sometimes there are some variations, adversities that will happen, and we should be able to manage them. But when we look at adversities, uh, they come in. two categories. Some adversities are they are high frequency, low severity. Uh, those will be taken care by most of the management systems. But sometimes there are extreme situation. Once in 20 years, once in 50 years kind of events. Could be a tsunami or an earthquake. These kind of disruptions. Uh, Many a time, even in India, we have seen certain airports have been flooded for a week, or um, and even MNC companies which are having 24/7 global operations, they come to a standstill. The pandemic was another, probably once in a century kind of a disruption. These are what what can be called uh, high severity, low frequency situations. Now, how do organizations prepare themselves to to handle those extreme adversities? That is the purpose of ISO 22301 2019 standard. Now, this standard applies both to the physical world and the cyber world. So you can say takes care of the entire cyber physical space. Now we find that most of the products and processes are becoming digital. They're becoming intelligent. Um, so what is called what was a pure physical process is now becoming an intelligent process, and a new area is emerging. We can say it's called OT, operational technology. Even in a hospital, you have digitally controlled devices and processes which form under the bucket of OT, operational technology. So, business continuity management system, BCMS, takes care of both these worlds, the physical world also and the cyber world also, for how to manage extreme situations. Uh, Even if it's a software company or a data center, it's quite possible that a physical risk may impact the digital operation. Like there could be a fire, there could be an earthquake, or some kind of a physical disaster which causes a digital disruption. So you have combinations both ways. So that is where ISO 22301 2019 becomes important for both the physical world and the cyber world. We see the adoption of ISO systems across the world uh, for the top four standards that I mentioned in the physical world. We can see from this chart that countries like China, India, Germany, Japan. Uh, Germany, Japan have been for the last uh, maybe more than 50 years. They have been dominating in world exports of different products, and later China has become globally dominant, and gradually India is becoming dominant. So we can very clearly see the adoption of ISO management systems is contributing to making countries more competitive in the global market for uh, for particularly for their products in the merchandise exports. Uh, Maybe do services also, but in merchandise exports, the the contribution of ISO to global competitiveness is very clear. And also we see from the chart that the top 10 countries in each system, they are dominating almost more than 75% of the total certifications in that system across the world, over 180 countries. So this is almost a clear proof that ISO is contributing to competitiveness of both the company and countries. Most of the ISO management systems have certain core principles, and some of the core principles are common for many ISO management systems. Um, So let us start understanding them, beginning with ISO 9001 QMS. So because this is the foundation standard, let's understand it thoroughly about the core principles. So we have uh, seven principles, which is customer focus. So because it's a quality management systems, and obviously every business organization exists primarily to serve the needs of customers in its chosen products and service space. So the customer is the very focus of a business organization. So that's pretty obvious, and that has to see all the core principles have to deeply reflect in uh, every operation of the organization. That is the expectation. So these principles are required even intuitively, but ISO makes it more compulsory. Whatever is obvious, it's making it explicit. So the second core principle is leadership. The third one is engagement of people, a process approach. Uh, then we need, going from bottom, relationship management, because an organization deals with many external stakeholders, could be vendors, contractors, suppliers. So unless it has a win-win working relationship with external stakeholders, it can't deliver the goods. Uh, then the see evidence. So one very important requirement is an objective approach to decision making. Most, decision makers are also humans, so they can be swayed by subjective biases, but ISO expects that decision making should primarily be on evidence based and data based and objective decision making. So that is the sixth principle. And the last one is improvement. See, ISO does not, ISO quality management, uh, if an organization gets a certificate, it doesn't mean that the company is excellent. It means that the company is committed to move towards excellence. So any company, however bad it is in its operations, it could still could turn a new leaf and get on to the path towards excellence. So that's what ISO expects. And then there's a concept in Japanese management called Kaizen. So Kaizen is that you keep making sustained small improvements always, and you will move gradually towards excellence. So that is the principle behind improvement, continuous improvement. So amongst these seven principles, uh, you can say that things like improvement, objective decision making, leadership, and process approach. These will be common and fundamental to many ISO management systems. So out of them, let us take a deeper look at the process approach. Uh, we are so used to viewing a company as departments, head of the department, people working in the department. So that is one way of looking at an organization. But ISO is recommending that don't look at it that way. Look at the whole organization as one system, and the system in turn is made up of different processes. So each one is a different process. I mean, intuitively you can relate it to like the human body. So the human body has got different systems, subsystems. So each one has got a different core function. So each system, or I mean each subsystem or a process in the human body works for a purpose, but everything is interconnected for the larger purpose. So this process approach should be intuitively, subconsciously practiced both by people in the organization also, and this should be well understood by the auditors also. So if so from an auditor point of view, these principles, um, while you can give a benefit of doubt for a company in the beginning stage, very quickly the company top to bottom is expected to adhere to these principles, and any deviation from these principles should also be noted and should be corrected. So we have to take these principles very seriously. So looking at the process approach in greater detail, uh, what is a process? A process, as per the ISO definition, is it's a set of interrelated or interacting activities that use inputs to deliver an intended result. So, what are the essential elements? See, a process is one where there are inputs coming into the process, and the process transforms those inputs into something else and hands over to the next process. So the process has got an intended objective. There are certain objectives that the process has to do. And to do that, the process may involve many interconnected and interacting activities. So a process can be a set of activities under one process. So that is the meaning of the ISO definition. When anyone studies computers technology, the very first lesson is IPO, input process output. So a whole system is broken down into smaller subsystems and programs, and each program operates on an IPO, input process output. This something every programmer learns from the first lesson. The same applies in the process approach in organizations also for ISO. A key pillar of most ISO management systems is what is called the PDCA cycle. It's also called the Deming wheel or the Schwartz cycle. Uh, the Deming, for your information, the world's highest prize in quality is called Deming prize. And Deming is one of the gurus of the quality system globally. So based on their teachings, uh, we have evolved into this PDCA cycle. What is PDCA? PDCA is plan, do, check, act. So it's 4 stages like a cycle. Any activity, it could be business or even in personal life. Uh, we need to first, begin with a plan, a very detailed plan. So based on the plan, we execute the actions as per the plan. And then after having executed the actions, we need to check between the plan and the execution to see whether the execution went as per the plan or there was a deviation. And then act. Now, the next stage, act is a review or a reflection after we check to see why, if there were deviations, uh, why those deviations happen. Maybe the plan was wrong or the execution was wrong, or what are the constraints. So the reflection or the review under the act pillar will help us to plan better and execute better. So Through this way, iteratively, through a plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act process, we will be able to achieve improvements. That is the whole purpose of PDCA. And ISO system, by drilling it constantly, is expecting every member of the organization, every part of the organization to practice PDCA very naturally and very subconsciously. So this is something that auditors need to be very watchful of. You have to really look for whether PDCA is happening systematically. And when we say PDCA, it can't be just in the mind of people. It has to be documented PDCA. So this is something to be look for very, very, very carefully. If we look at ISO 9001 2015, which I repeat is not just quality management system, it's a very foundation for organizational excellence. So this slide will show how all the principles which we talked about tie into each other. Um, and if you see the chart in the middle, there are certain numbers under each description. These are like the clauses. So ISO standard or every standard uh, is written almost like a legal document, and it has clauses, sub clauses. So the clauses numbers are the major clauses, under which other things details will be fine print, but these are the major clause numbers. Uh, just to understand the ISO 9001 better, we can see that we see on the left hand side top, clause number 4 is about the organization and its context. Clause number 4 also talks about the needs and expectations of the relevant interested parties, which is mentioned in the bottom left of the diagram. Next we move to clause number 5, which is the very middle, the leadership. So leadership of the organization, well, leadership is the orchestrator of everything. So leadership comes under clause number 5, and after that the show begins. So we have starting with uh, clause number 6, which is about planning. So since this management system is about quality, it refers to planning of the whole quality system. So clause number 6 is planning. Next, we move into execution, which is clause number 7 and 8. So 8 is about the operation of the system. 7 is the support. See, you can't achieve uh, objectives without, of course, you need plans, but you need resources also. You need men, material, money. So all that is coming under clause number 7. The, the material requirements to achieve the system objectives. So we move from planning to doing, that is execution. Now next, as per the PDCA cycle, we need to check. So how do you do the checking? The checking comes under what's called performance evaluation. See, performance evaluation is a big clause. It has got multiple angles under that, but together it's called performance evaluation, clause number 9. So when you're doing the evaluation, we look at it from different standpoints. Uh, if you see right hand side bottom, it is about the products and services. See, so it's like what is coming out of the system. What is the quality? What is the outcome of the products and services? And then at the top right, you have customer satisfaction. See, it's very, very obvious. See, if the organization exists to serve customers, then how well are the customers satisfied with the organization is a very important metric. Because only if they're satisfied will they tell about the organization to other people, or they will come again for the product or service. So the organization can grow only by achieving customer satisfaction. So that is shown under the right hand side of top right of the chart. So having done the evaluation under clause number 10, next we move to the act part. Now the act is, if we go back to the earlier slide, PDCA, this comes under reflection review. We need to review the performance evaluation that we did, and that will take us to improvement. How can we improve the whole system? How do we improve at the process level, product level? So that's how the organization will set in motion this whole Deming cycle in a very structured way. And once the organization, it's like, getting onto a cycle, and the moment you pedal the cycle a few steps, you get into motion, and from then onwards, the organization will will find its balance, and it will start moving towards the right direction. So that is the whole purpose of ISO 9001 2015. And this chart tells about how the principles, the PDCA pillar, and all the clauses, they are all interconnected into this.